Barak Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rachak Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is You Have Lived Deliciously. And this is pretty much centered around the scriptures and these international banking families that have pretty much devoured the wealth of the poor in this world, especially the Israelites. What I have before you is is something I found, on Google Images. I typed in, I forget how I put it, rich is corrupt. I think I put in rich is corrupt, and this came up. And I thought it was pretty good for the lesson. And as you can see, there's a giant and then there's a little guy. The giant represents the international bankers, how fat they are from eating the wealth of the poor and how the poor barely have anything. It says, our current form of capitalism has no concept of right and wrong. It only recognizes what is profitable and what you can get away with. And when you have the government, the media, the military, and the police on your payroll, you can get away with pretty much anything. Modern American proverb. So keep that in mind, especially the part about the military. Because through capitalism, through this monetary system, is how the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and the rest of these international banking families got rich off of the sweat and labor, hardships, turmoils of the poor. All right. So that's why the name of the lesson is called You Have Lived Deliciously. So let's start off with the book of Luke, which this is a parable that Yahweh Shai spoke in the book of Luke 16 and 19. It says the rich man and Lazarus. Now the rich man represents the international banking families, and Lazarus represents the Israelites, because the word Lazarus means help or something along those lines. I haven't looked it up in a while, but bear with me 1 second. All right. Right, the same as Eleazar, which Eleazar, Allah Izar, which means the Most High help, or Yahweh help, or the power help. And that's what Lazarus represents. All right, so keep that in mind. So it says, there was a certain rich man, which was clothed in purple and fine linen, and fared sumptuously every day. So we're going to look up a couple of these words and build off of that. So let's look up the word rich man, or rich. Rich man, you have the word rich. The word rich is plusios, right, which goes back to the word plutos, which just simply means riches. All right, wealthy, abounding in material resources, metaphorically abundantly supplied, abounding rich in Christian virtues and eternal possessions. Now this is, it's something different, but the riches that we're dealing with is wealthy, abounding in material resources. And this is the reason why they are in the position that they're in, because they are abounding in material resources. And the rich men of the world are not these so-called millionaires and billionaires. The rich men of the world are talking about these multi-trillionaires that own countries. They don't own a stock in a particular merchandise. They own everything, from the manufacturer to the raw materials to the stores that they're sending them to the shipping containers, to to the truck, everything. Those are the rich men. All right. Those are the rich men of this earth. So it says, and this man was what? He was clothed in purple and fine linen. Because why? If you clothed in purple and fine linen, you live in a luxurious, lavish lifestyle. It says, and fared sumptuously. So we're going to look up the word fared, which the word fair is eupranio or euphrahino, to gladden, make joyful. So why are they glad and made joyful? To be glad, to be merry, to rejoice in, delight with a thing. Right here it says, in a good frame of mind. Yeah, because when you have riches, you're always in a good frame of mind. That's why these devils don't have a care for anything. You know, and Lord's will, we'll get to the scripture in Psalms. Because I got a couple of precepts I wrote down with a couple of words to look up. So in a good frame of mind, an example rejoice, because they have more than heart could wish. So that was the word fared, because they're in a good state of mind, because the word EU is good. All right. So as you is good, and phron or phrone, understanding, good understanding, or in a good mind. Why? Because they're in a position of wealth. So the next word is sumptuously, which goes back to the word lampros, which means splendidly, magnificently, of sumptuous living, luxuriously. So when you see these devils, their possessions, they have a luxurious lifestyle. They speak a certain way. They eat food a certain way. You know, their taste in what they buy is something that if you thought, you know, about even borrowing something like that, you'll be in debt for life. You know, this is the type of wealth that these devils are working with. They don't buy shoes. They own the company that makes the shoes. They own the manufacturers. They own the place where they're made. They own the tailors that make these particular shoes, or shoemakers. They own the raw material. They own the land that the raw material is mined from to make these shoes. So you talking about liquid. You talking about rich men. You ain't. We ain't talking about FRN riches, because that's not riches. We talking about gold and silver, precious stones, minerals, different resources of the earth, land, slaves. So they got it all. So these are the rich men that fared sumptuously every day. So we're in a good frame of mind every day because they have everything. They have no need of anything. So if you have no need of anything, you're not going to be in that frame of mind. Let me see. That's in the Apocrypha. Let's see. Damn. How is that scripture worded? There's a scripture in the Apocrypha dealing with when you're doing good, you know, you forget about your sorrows or something along that. I can't think of the wording. If I could think of the wording, I could probably find it. If you brothers know what I'm talking about, Babakoshav, you could put that in the comment section. Something along the lines of in prosperity. There you go. The word prosperity is in there. Let's see. Nope, that's not it. Beautiful. That's it. The brother, both of these brothers, GMS Punish the Wicked. Hey, Shalom, bro. Brother out in Washington, Seattle. And also the brother Good Soldier 144 Bar. Put Ecclesiastes 11:25. In the day of prosperity there is forgetfulness of affliction. Beautiful. And in the day of affliction there is no remembrance of prosperity. So in their prosperity they have no thought, you know, of affliction. because it hasn't come upon them. And that's why when the time comes for them to really start to suffer, it's going to be hard for them, because they're used to living a soft lifestyle. You know, they don't have rough hands from hard work. You know, they have soft manicured hands. They've lived a pampered life. So they're going to really be in trouble, as it says in James the 5th chapter. They're really going to be in misery. And that's what this parable is about. The misery that the rich man is going to suffer in the kingdom of heaven, when and Lazarus, who was the one that was catching hell in this lifetime, in the kingdom, he's going to be pampered. We're going to be pampered. And they're going to be the ones that's going to suffer hell, you know, or slavery. So now, building off of that, let's go to Psalms 17 and 13. It says, "Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down. Deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword." So Esau is the Lord's sword. Yahweh gave him the blessing of the sword. He told him that by the blessing of his sword, he will have the riches and the abundance of the earth, the fatness of the earth and everything. They're the ones that took peace from the earth. They're the ones that took the riches from the earth. They're the ones that have the earth in oppression. They're the ones that are gaining by usury, interest, you know, so on and so forth. And they've prospered in this manner since the time that they took over during the time of the Renaissance period, because it is their time to rule. It is their time to live lavishly. It is their time to be pampered. You see? So it says, "From men which are thy hand, O Lord, from men of the world which have their portion in this life." They have their portion in this life. That's why they fared sumptuously. They're in a good frame of mind. There is nothing that they need. They have no need of anything. You think that when they drink something, you know, brother talking about drinking Belvedere and drinking these different vodkas or different tequilas, you know, that may cost $40 a bottle or $50 a bottle. You think that's lavish living, lavish drinking? Man, that's poison compared to the shit that they drink. One glass of the shit that they drink probably costs $10,000, $20,000, $100,000. They drinking top of the line stuff. They drinking vintage stuff. They're drinking stuff that no one out there can afford unless they're in that caliber, you know, in that money group, you know, "In whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure," right? It says, "They are full of children and leave the rest of their what? Substance to their babes," because their children have inheritances. Rich inheritances. They're taught the business of ripping people off through banking. So they continue that wealth. What does Jake, you know, what do we have to inherit? Debt. You know, misery, curses. So Jake is not in that position. Even if Jake is in the billionaire bracket, they do better, but by no means are they living that lavish lifestyle that Esau's living. All right. So now we look up the word substance. Right. So they leave their substance or their inheritance to their babes, which is the rest of their, you know, this is in brackets, substance, which because the word substance doesn't appear, but it's they leave the rest of their. It's like an inheritance, right? The word there is yathar. It says remainder, excess, rest, remnant, excellence, excess, abundantly, abundance. So they leave their abundance to their children. And what is that abundance? That those riches that they've stole from the rest of the world. Now let's go to Psalm 73. And we're going to start at the 3rd verse. So we're going to read down. It says, "For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked." Why? Because they were prospering. They were prospering. Why were they prospering? Because of the wealth that they've accumulated by theft, by murder, so on and so forth. For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. Why? Because they have everything. They're living good. That's why these devils live to their late 90s, early hundreds. Because they eat the best of everything. That's why you can talk to one of them devils that's 100 years old, and when he'll speak to you, he'll still be in his right frame of mind. He's not suffering from Alzheimer's. He's not suffering from dementia. He ain't suffering from none of that stuff, because the food that they eat and the medicine that they have is the top of the line. They have the top physicians, herbologists. Meanwhile, they give the rest of the world what? The bullshit. It says they are. You think that they're lined up to take that? You know that the juice works. You think that they're trying to get a card to become a part of the juice crew? No. It says they are not in trouble as other men, and they're not. Neither are they plagued like other men. Why? Because while we're subject to payments, they're the ones that the payments that we're subject to are going to. The payments that we're subject to are going right into their pockets. They're subject to riches. We're subject to payment. Therefore, pride compasses them about as a chain. Why? Because when you're rich, there's a certain arrogance that comes with riches, a certain loftiness, a certain pride, a certain ego. I had this. I'm not going to really read it. I put it in the description box in case brothers want to read it. It's from the Washington Post. It says, being rich wrecks your soul. We used to know that. And it goes into, he goes into some stuff that's pretty decent. And, he kind of hints at riches being bad to a certain degree, which riches are not bad, because riches are a help. Money is a defense, and money answereth all things. But the love of money is that root of all evil. Right? So it says, therefore pride compasses them about as a chain, violence covereth them as a garment, because in order for them to achieve the level of opulence that they've reached, they had to bring violence. And that violence has covered the earth. Brothers have brought it out before. Brothers know the exact payments and poverty. That's right, brother. From Yahweh from Hawaii. Violence covered them as a garment. I kind of lost my train of thought. There was something I was going to say. Violence covered. Therefore, pride compasses them about as a chain. Violence covered them as a garment. There was a point I was going to make as far as that's concerned. That they're pushing this, on the planet, and it pretty much is. Brothers know the exact years. There's a quote where it says that out of the so many years America's been in power, I think there's only been maybe 19 or 20 years that they haven't been at war, but the rest of the time they've been at war. Why do you think that is? It's for the gain of money. See? It says their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish. So what is left? If you have everything, what is left? To have raw power over the people, as G. Edward Griffin brings out. So it says their eyes stand out with fatness. Let's see what the word fatness is. The word fatness is the word chalab. Fat of humans, fat of beasts, choice best parts of products. That's the fat. And fat is what? Energy. 220 years of war, right? Out of the whole time that they've been in power, they've been at war for 220 years. And probably about 20 years maybe, or 30 years without war. Choices, best part, abundance. Yeah, because they have the best of everything, of products of the land. They live high off the hog, so to speak. They do not eat the chitlins, so to speak. They do not eat the pig tutor, from the rooter to the tutor. They don't eat none of that shit. They eat they eat the top. All right. So it says here, finest grease, marrow, which goes into the word lipos in the Greek, which Lord's will we're gonna get that. This is a luxurious lifestyle, and when you have riches, you can afford these things. They call it king's food, or the king's dainties. So their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish. They are corrupt. Why are they corrupt? Because this is the way they've gotten to this point. They're enclosed in fat. And when you're enclosed in fat, what happens? You are warm. That's why people that are fat, just put it, in layman's terms, they can go outside with a little hoodie on or a sweatshirt when it's cold as hell outside, because those layers of fat keep them warm. So that's how these are. The layers of fat are their riches that are keeping them warm. It said the U.S. has been at war 225 out of 243 years since 1776. Yeah, you see. So it's about 19 years or so. Let's see. $18 years. 18 years of peace and 225 years of war. Says they are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. Now oppression goes into you. Oppression doesn't just mean that you are hard on a people. Oppression also comes in the form of money. It comes in the form of taxes. That's the ultimate level of oppression besides beating somebody over the head. Now when you go back, we did the lesson yesterday. When you go back to the time of the Roman Empire, when Jake was in the land of Israel, they had a tax for the Jews, which was called Fiscus Judaicus. Fiscus Judaicus was a Latin phrase for Jews' taxes, or taxes of the Jews. Now today you have something called a fiscal year. The fiscal year pretty much is the year of taxation. That's pretty much what it means. All right. It says they speak loftily. So they speak loftily. It says they set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth, because they are the ones that push their whole lie about the Most High being so-called white, Yahweh Shai being so-called white, the angels, so on and so forth, the Israelites. It says, therefore his people return hither, and waters of a full cup are wrung out to them. Yeah, because they want everything. They get everything, but they still want more. They could never have enough. Habakkuk, the 2nd chapter, tells you that. They could never have enough. So that's why there's no limit to the wickedness that they will do, based off of them continually getting these riches. It says, and they say, how doth the Most High know? And is there knowledge in the Most High? Because they've put the Most High on the back burner, because they've been ruling so long and amassed so much wealth in this time period, that wealth has gotten to their mind and deceived them. The pride of thine heart have deceived thee, that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks. It says, behold, these are the ungodly, because they are without the Most High. They're not, the Most High is not in their thoughts. Who prosper in the world, they increase in riches. And the word for prosper is the word shalayah, or shalawah. Shalawah. It says quiet, at ease, prosperous. All right. It says at ease of persons, quiet, of land, tranquil. When you're tranquil, that's peaceful. Careless, security. So they're secure. They're wealthy. They're prosperous. They're in a good frame of mind because of their riches. Now let's go to Isaiah 47 and 7. It says, and thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. Yeah, because they didn't care how they got the riches. They didn't think about the repercussions at the end. All they thought about was living the lavish lifestyle, living the luxurious lifestyle, and not talking about going to the Gucci store or Louis Vuitton or Fendi or any of the newest, trends out there, or fads, or fashions that the majority of the world gets. Their shit is on a whole nother level. They don't shop where you shop. They don't go to the store. They don't go online and say, oh, you know what? I like those shoes. Let me order those shoes. Their stuff is tailor made. It says, therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, right? That dwellest carelessly, that saith in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. Yeah, because those riches pretty much exalted their pride to where they think that their houses shall continue to all generations. They never think that they're going to fall from that position, that lofty position. That's why when you read later on down in the book of Psalm 73, it said that the Lord set them in slippery places. Because although it seems like they have everything, they don't see the signs or the writings on the wall that they are slipping, that they're falling, and they can't get up. Inside joke. But that's all right, because that's the plans of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. So we look up the word pleasures. The word is Aidayan, which you get the word Aidan or Eden, which means paradise or joy. So Aidayan is pleasures, which is a word whose root word goes back to Eden or Aidan. Delighted themselves. All right. It says down here, voluptuous. Now you have women with voluptuous breasts, which are, tantalizing, right? That's one way, curvaceous and sexually attractive, typically used of a woman. Shit, this fucking society, boy. They'll use that for a man. Fucking bastards. It says relating to or characterized by luxury or sensual pleasure. See? Long curtains in voluptuous crimson velvet. All right, so relating to or characterized by luxury or sensual pleasure. So it's not talking about, oh, you got silk. Oh, that's some nice silk. Or that's some nice velour. Or that's a nice suede, whatever. Now you talking about the top of the line stuff. Rarities. All right? Things that the things that a person that's not making at least a couple of $1 trillion cannot afford. That's how they living. That's the wealth that they living in. See, Jake, they live a lifestyle of what? Being ghetto fabulous. What they call ghetto fabulous. Right? And it says denoting or exemplifying an ostentatious or flamboyant lifestyle or style of clothing of a type associated with the hip-hop subculture. But it's denoting and exemplifying an ostentatious or flamboyant lifestyle. So they think because they can get, a Maybach or something like that, they can get whatever they get. They think that they living the life. You ain't living the life, man. Because 9 times out of 10, you might be looking like the part, but your pockets ain't really fitting the lifestyle. You living on budgets in comparison to the elite of this society, the capitalists, the banksters. You see? Now, let's go back. We're done with that. So now that was the word pleasures. Now let's look up the word carelessly. And the word carelessly is the word batach. Security, safely, securely. Yeah, because when you have abundance of riches and resources, what happens is you become careless. You live a carefree lifestyle, a decadent lifestyle. You're not looking, you're the once caring spirit that you may have had slowly but surely dwindles, and it's replaced by that greed. And that's how these devils are living. Confidence. And confidence brings in carelessness. That's what the saying goes, how does it go? Strong men make, I forget how it goes. Hard times make strong men. strong men make good times make weak men, or something like that. Something along those lines. Weak men make bad times, because that lifestyle creates a sense of relaxation, a sense of confidence, a sense of complacency, a sense of comfort, where one becomes lazy. All right. So going back, says, therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures and dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thy heart, I am, because they think they're the Most High, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children, because they think that their houses and their wealth is going to continue on from generation to generation to generation to generation to generation. Now let's go to Job 21 and 7. We're going to read a couple of verses here. Wherefore do the wicked live, become old, yea, are mighty in power, and they are mighty in power. And one of the main things of might is not just money, is what? The military. All right? The military is a part of their wealth, a part of their power. So keep that in mind, because earlier we read here, it says, our current form of capitalism has no concept of right or wrong and wrong. It only recognizes what is profitable and what you can get away with. And when you have the government, the media, the military, and the police on your payroll, you can get away with pretty much anything. Modern American proverb. So keep that in mind. So it says, are mighty in power, their seed is established. Yeah, because why? Because of the wealth that their parents got wickedly in their sight with them. Yeah, because you have Jake in the hood, in the barrio and all that the parents a lot of times have to bury their children. And it's very rare where these international banking families have to bury their children. And their offspring before their eyes, because they're established in the earth. As to where if Jake makes it to 50, that's an accomplishment. That's a milestone in Jake's community. Whether it's so-called Black, Latino, Native American Indian, that's a milestone for Jake to make it to 50. Before, it would be that if you made it to 25, you were so-called lucky. It says their houses are safe from fear, neither is the rod of the Most High upon them. Yeah, because the Most High doesn't have his curses upon them. He's allowing them to prosper. These are the wicked that prosper in the world. The Lord allows them to receive those riches, receive that splendor. Their bull gendereth and faileth not. Their cow calveth and casteth not her calf. This is dealing with their businesses. And the way they got their businesses is pretty much by theft, But their businesses do not fail unless they want them to fail, as in the case of what's going on right now with these shortages and certain businesses collapsing. So they send forth their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. Yeah, because they're happy. They're in that happy, go-lucky spirit, right? It says they take the timbrel and harp and rejoice at the sound of the organ. Why? Because they're in prosperity. This is why it says in Psalms 149, it says, let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Because when the kingdom is established, we're going to be living a luxurious, lavish lifestyle. We're going to be living a carefree lifestyle. But it's going to be in righteousness, because we're going to have the law, statutes, commandments in our inward parts, and we're going to be changed to where corruption will not have any part of it. See, they get a taste of living good, and they want to keep living good, so they have to keep doing wicked shit in order for them to continue to get those riches, in order to continue to live that type of lifestyle. You see? Says they spend their days in wealth, and in a moment go down to the grave. So they spend their days in wealth, right? And we look up the word wealth, and the word wealth is the word what? Tawab. What does the word tawab mean? I'm going to leave it to you brothers in the comment, but what does the word tawab mean? Remember, they're using this Hebrew word for the word wealth. Tawab. What does tawab mean? Yep. Good. That's right. So, good, pleasant, agreeable. Pleasant, agreeable to the senses. So these riches, their riches or their wealth is good. Valuable in estimation. Glad, happy, prosperous. A good thing, benefit, welfare. Wealth. All right. So now going back, in a moment go down to the grave. Now we're going to jump down to the 23rd verse. It says, one dieth in his full strength, being wholly at ease and quiet. Why? Because of the riches that they have. They're not in trouble as other men. It says, his breasts are full of milk and his bones are moistened with marrow. What does that mean? That means that they're riches. They're enclosed in these riches. And that's the nutrition of them. That's what keeps them nourished. That's what keeps them fat, so to speak. All right. So now let's go from there to the book of Job, chapter 12 and 6. It says, the tabernacles of robbers prosper, and they that provoke the Most High are secure, into whose hand the Most High bringeth abundantly. Why does the Most High bring abundantly into their hand? Because they are not the children of the Most High. They are not going to have the curses put upon them until the kingdom of heaven is established, and the curses are put on them. For that, and it's going to be put on them, not for atonement, or even though you could say that, you could say for atonement because they got to pay, but they're going to be put on them because as a punishment for what they've done. So now we look up the word prosper, the tabernacles of robbers. Tabernacles of robbers, thieves. You are thieves. Inside joke. The word prosper is the word shalah. To be at rest, prosper, be quiet, be at ease. And that's how they are. They're at ease. Right? Be in safety. So let's look up the word secure. Secure is the word batachwath, which is the plural of what we read earlier. Security, safety. Yeah. So their riches and their wealth have them in a secure, safe place where they became lofty. They became careless. They became wanton, undisciplined. They do whatever the hell they want to do. And how did they get this? Through the military, through the blessing of the sword, which the Lord gave them. Matter of fact, let's get that real quick. And Genesis 27 and 39. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be what? The fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. So you're going to own, you're going to have, you're going to be satisfied with these things. Fatness is the word ma shaman, which is of oil. Shaman is oil. Ma shaman is of or from oil. Fatness, fat piece, fertile place. Because what is fat? Fat is oil. Richly prepared food. So they're going to have the best of everything. Fertile spots or places. So they're going to have the best of everything. It says of the earth and the dew of heaven from above. All right. It shall be the fatness of the earth and the dew. So let's look up the word dew. The word there is tal. Dew, night mist. Okay. Just dew. Which means they're going to have everything. Then it goes on to say, and by thy sword shalt thou live. And that's how they got the riches of the earth. You can read Revelation 6, I believe is the 3rd and the 4th verse, which speaks about the red horse. And shall serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And this happened during the time of kings. So this is not going to happen. This part was already fulfilled, but the other part is being fulfilled now. By that sword thou shalt live. Now, let's go to Ezekiel 28. And before we go there, let's read this again. Our current form of capitalism has no concept of right and wrong. It only recognizes what is profitable and what you can get away with. And when you have the government, the media, the military, and the police on your payroll, you can get away with pretty much anything. Modern American proverb. Now let's get to Ezekiel 28:3. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. Why? Because they've accomplished a diligent search. When you accomplish something, that means you got to the goal, you got to the mission. You finished that goal, that mission. So they accomplished a diligent search. They've turned everything. They didn't leave any stone unturned. That's why they know what they know and they have what they have. With thy wisdom and with thy understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches. And they've the way they sat down and had these think tanks and what they should do and how they should do it to get this wealth, to get that, to get the people in a bad position to get, trust and believe that they looked at every possible way to do these things. All right. You have gotten riches and has gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. All right. So now when we look up this word riches, the word riches is the word chayal, strength, might, efficiency, wealth, army, strength, force, army. So these riches is what helped them to achieve the military, which helped them to achieve more wealth. This is why all of these different wars were set up for what? There's a video on YouTube. I don't know if it's still on YouTube. Michael Rivero. All wars are bankers' wars. And how did they do that? They put the military in these different positions to get the resources of these people. So they got it by their sword, by their military. So the riches, a part of their riches is what? Their military. And you've heard Elder Apostle Tara say this before, that when Jake was set up in Tulsa, and there were many, Rosewood, there were many well-to-do, for lack of better, there's another word for it, a lot of well-to-do places in America where Jake was living fat. They were living a luxurious lifestyle, and they were all destroyed. Some of them are underwater, because these devils try to stomp that out of history, because they were not supposed to be living that type of lifestyle, And one thing the Elder Apostle Tara said, that the reason why they lost a lot of that stuff, of course, is the curses overall, but because they didn't have a military. They had stores, they had tailors, they had mechanics, they had businesses, they had banks, they had communities, they had, hotels, movie theaters, but they didn't have a military. Esau, through his military, this is how he got his riches, because that's a part of his blessing. All right, now let's go back and let's look up the word. Let's see. By thy wisdom and with thy understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. Look up the word treasure. Awatazar. Treasure, storehouse, treasure, gold, silver, etc. So they have supplies, stores, supplies. They don't just have whatever they have in their pocket and maybe a little something in the bank. They have storehouses. They have liquid assets, things with intrinsic value. Now here it says magazine of weapons. Then it says figuratively of the Most High's armory, but of Esau's armory too. Magazines of weapons. So a part of the way they got this wealth was through the military, through weapons. That's how they amassed this wealth. You see? You see, man? You see? All right, now let's go back. And let's look up, let's see. All right, we got that. Now let's go back. Let's go to the word wisdom. The word there is ha-kamah, because wisdom is bayana, which means between. And this particular wisdom is ha-kamah. Wisdom, skill in war. So see how all these words are leading to the army, to the weapons, to being skilled in war. Through your wisdom, all wars are bankers' wars. Matter of fact, let's see if this comes up. Might not come up. Let's see. They may have took it off or taken it off YouTube. Yeah, they must have taken it off YouTube. This is Michael Rivera. Oh, right here. All wars are bankers' wars. It was actually longer than this. Oh, I guess this individual here, Liberty and Finance, they put it up in parts because it was actually about like 40 some odd minutes long. You know, and that's how they got their wealth, through the military, skill in war. Now what else we got? Now let's go. Let's read that again. With thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten thee riches and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. You know, we read about the treasures. The treasures were, right, the supplies. So reading on. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. So we look up the word traffic. Is the word rakala, nacha, rakala. Merchandise, traffic, trade. See, and how did they get it? By their military, by their weapons, by the power of the sword. All right. And in doing that, what did they do? By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. See? So it was lifted up because of their riches. Then it also says for riches, for traffic, merchandise, and trade. All right? And that's how America, Babylon the Great, became what she became, because of the great abundance of riches that caused these other nations to become rich. See right here, merchandise, traffic, trade. So it's merchandise and trade. This is how the ports of America became rich and caused the world to become rich. And this is why these nations came here to become rich, to learn the ways of America, to leave the customs of their forefathers, to become just like Esau over here in America. So we look up the word in James 1:1. I'm sorry, not James 1:1. James 5:1. Salakia. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you, because you cause a lot of misery in amassing these riches that you have. Now you're going to have a lifetime of misery. That's why when we read back in Luke, the 16th chapter, you know, it speaks about these devils being in a miserable state, in a jacked up state, in a place of torment, meaning slavery, catching hell. We look up the word rich men here, rich men. You have the word plusios, wealthy, abounding in material resources, and that's why they're rich. They have everything. They have more than heart can wish. Metaphorically, abounding, abundantly supplied. They're abundantly supplied, wealthy. All right. It says, how for your miseries that shall come upon you, your riches are corrupted. Why? Because of the way they got them. Through their military, through deceit, through usury, which is interest. And your garments are moth-eaten. Meaning everything, the way you got everything, that covering that you have on you is moth-eaten. It's corrupt. So they have this veil on them, this clothing on them, as if they're these great people, which they made the world believe that during the Renaissance. But we're finding out that the way they got all of this and the way that they portrayed themselves was nothing more than a lie. Your gold and silver is cankered, corrupt, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you. Yeah, because the way that you got this stuff was not by right. Let's go real quick to Ecclesiastes 5 and 10. It says, the folly of riches. See, the folly of riches. He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity. And there's one, I believe it's in the Apocrypha, that speaks about, not satisfied with silver, or they'll do something to the extent of I can't think of the wording right now, but they'll pretty much destroy themselves in trying to get these riches. I can't think. I wish I could at least think of the wording of it, but I believe it's in the Apocrypha. When goods increase, they are increased that eat them. Yeah, because what you're doing is you're amassing this wealth, and it's just going to be turned over. Yeah, that's a good one. That's the one that I'm getting this one eventually. Matter of fact, I'll read it now. Ecclesiastes 10:8, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. So there's going to be a translation of wealth and of kingdoms. So it says, when goods increase, they are increased that eat them. And what good is there to the owners thereof, saving beholding of them with their eyes? Yeah, so the only when you go into captivity and all of this wealth that you stole is turned over to us, the only way you're gonna be able to not even enjoy it, but the only way you're gonna be able to, it's just by looking at it. You're not gonna be able to do anything else. You just only thing you're gonna be able to do is look at it. That's a good one right here. Ecclesiastes 14:9, a covetous man's eye is not satisfied with his portion. Beautiful. And the iniquity of the wicked drieth up his soul. Yeah, because, oh man, that's so heavy right there, because that goes with Habakkuk chapter 2, where they have sinned against their soul. Oh man, damn, I just had a precept in mind reading this brother's precept. A covetous man's eye is not satisfied with his portion, and the iniquity of the wicked drieth up his soul. Damn, there was another precept that I had in mind that was in the Apocrypha. I can't think of it. If it comes back, then I'll bring it out. So it says, when goods increase, they are increased that eat them, and what good is there to the owner thereof, saving the beholding of them with their eyes. So you're only going to be able to see the riches. You're not going to be able to touch it. You're not going to be able to handle them. You're not going to be able to partake in it. You're not going to be able to store it away. You're not going to be able to steal it. You're not going to be able to enjoy it. You're not going to be able to spend it. Fucking devils. Hey, and the scriptures say that we're going to boast in the riches of these nations. Damn, I wish I could remember that other precept. It says, the sleep of a laboring man is sweet. Let me see, was that it? The sleep of a laboring man is sweet, whether he eat little or much, but the abundance of the rich will not suffer him to sleep. Yeah, because they're always watching to over their goods, because they know that the way they got them was by thievery, and they know that they're going to lose it. It says, there is a sore evil which I have seen under the sun, namely riches kept for the owners to their thereof to their hurt. So these riches are kept by you to your own hurt. And this is why in the parable of Lazarus and the rich man, you were going to be in torments in the kingdom of heaven, while we are going to be joyful and singing unto the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Now let's go back to James. Oh, I'm sorry. I got a couple more. Proverbs 28:8. He that by usury and unjust gain increaseth his substance, he shall gather it for him that will pity the poor. See? Proverbs 22:16. He that oppresseth the poor to increase his riches, and he that giveth to the rich shall surely come to want. Yeah, because you're going to be brought from riches to rags. Now it's going back to James 5:3. Your gold and silver is cankered, the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as with fire, because your whole dreams are going to go up in smoke when America is destroyed, because this is the heart of your New World Order agenda. You have reaped treasures together for the last days, and that's what you did, which means that you sinned against your soul. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which are the workers, Jake included, which is of you kept back by fraud, because that's how you kept it back, by fraud, by ripping people off, by paying for someone's labor through a currency that's a fiat currency that's not even worth anything. Aposterio, to defraud, rob, despoil. So it's been a fraud. You've committed a fraud. You are thieves. Inside joke. Fraud. Wrongful or criminal deception intended to result in financial or personal gain. And we read that the penalty for that is what? All of that stuff that you amassed that way, you're going to turn it over. Give it up. Give it up and turn it loose, dog. It says, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, because the Lord hears it. You have lived in pleasure on the earth. You have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanton. You have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. So let's go to the word pleasure. The word there is trufao, to live delicately, live luxurious, be given to soft and luxurious life. You know, you're a peasant living softly like a noble. You know, but don't get used to it, because it don't belong to you. I have seen servants on horses and princes walking the ground as servants. The word wanton, next word, which is the word spatalaho, to live luxurious, lead a voluptuous life. Remember, we looked up the word voluptuous. Give oneself to pleasure. And what does that cause? Wantonness, which is what? Undisciplined. Voluptuous, relating to or characterized by luxury or sensual pleasure. And it's not just talking about, you know, getting this crap that Jake holds in esteem as being luxurious. You're talking about real luxury. Stuff that you can't pronounce. Stuff that you can't afford. None of us could pronounce or afford. How about that? The word nourished is the word trefo. Right? To nourish, support, feed, to give suck, to fatten, to bring up, nurture. So this is how you've been fattened. You've been fattened. You've been nourished by this. You've been pampered. You know? As in a day of slaughter. Sphage, slaughter of sheep destined for slaughter, a day of destruction. Pretty much a slaughter would be when you've killed the fatted calf, you know, and then they prepare a feast for you. And then you eat to your heart's content, and you drink wine to your heart's content. That's how you living. You living that way every day. That's why it says in Luke 16 that you fared sumptuously every day. You were in a good state of mind every day. You never had, a hard day in your life. It says you have condemned and killed the just, and he did not resist you. Yeah, because we do not have the power. Because you have the military. Remember, let me get this precept real quick and then. Remember, our current form of capitalism has no concept of right and wrong. It only recognizes what is profitable and what you can get away with. And when you have the government, the media, the military, and the police on your payroll, you can get away with pretty much anything. Modern American proverb. Revelation 17:4, and the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color. This is America, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls because of her luxurious, voluptuous lifestyle, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. Because this, in order for you to partake of these riches, you have to drink of that cup and become corrupt, just like she's corrupt. And that's why once you get involved in it, your morals go out the window. And this is how the scriptures say that the nations have drunk, therefore the nations are mad. They're pissed off, but they're also bugged out in their mind. You see? Because you gotta pay to play. Now let's go from there to Revelation 18. And we're going to read a couple of verses, starting at 7. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. That's why they're in the position that they're in. They've become lofty. They've become proud. The pride of their heart has deceived them because of the increase of their riches. So the word deliciously, steniao, to be wanton, to live luxuriously. And once again, when you live luxuriously or deliciously, you become undisciplined. Let's see what it says. Let's see if they break the word down right. Wanton, of a cruel or violent action, deliberate and unprovoked, sexually unrestrained, having many casual sexual relationships, typically used of a woman. Yeah, because it's unrestrained, it's undisciplined. Unrestrained, a sexually unrestrained woman. Yeah, so it's undisciplined, unrestrained. All right. So they don't think they're going to see any sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord who judgeth her. Because although they don't want to go down, although they have set themselves in a lofty position, although they own the governments of the world and the riches of the world and the militaries of the world, the Most High is strong that judges her. Remember what King David said, who shall lead me into the strong city? Who shall lead me into Edom? So that's why the first people that the Lord is coming to visit are going to be the Edomites. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, partook of that cup, shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. Because when America goes up and smoke is destroyed, these nations are not going to be able to make money like they are right now. All right. I skipped a couple of precepts, but you know what? Let me go. I wanted to go after Revelation 17. I wanted to go to Habakkuk 2 and 9. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. And remember what Yahushua said, what can a man give in exchange for his soul? Job chapter 20, and jump to a couple of verses, verse 6. It says, though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds, yet shall he perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? Jumping down to the 15th verse, he hath swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. The Most High shall cast them out of his belly. Verse 18, that which he labored for shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein. So they're going to give it all up. Now let's go back to Revelation 18. Now let's jump to the 14th verse. And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. And we look up the words lusted after, which you have the word epithumia, desire, craving, longing, desire for what is forbidden, lust. And that's what these nations do. And that's what Esau does. They crave and long after things that are forbidden. But because they have the power, the military, the force, the weapons, they take, even though they know it's wrong. But they were created to be the wicked. Now let's go to the word dainty. And this is why the average American is fat. Liparos, from lipos, which is grease, things which pertain to a sumptuous and delicate style of living. That's why I said that the rich man fared sumptuously every day. There is nothing that, they cannot afford. There is nothing that is out of their grasp except for salvation. Fat, see? Lipos, grease, fat. And that's why you have all these different fast food stores and the fatty, decadent lifestyle, which leads to early death. All right, the word goodly, lampros, which goes to shining, brilliant, splendid things. An example, luxuries or elegances in dress or style. And these devils live it up. You best believe they ain't gonna be wearing no rags. All right. And what else we got? All right, so it goes on to say, the merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar for fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. From 1 hour so great riches is come to naught. And every shipmaster and all company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? Yeah, you can't find a place more luxurious and more careless, and undisciplined than America. And that's why they're going to be crying and standing afar off, because they're going to see the destruction. So when you go back to Luke 16, from the 19th verse down, now you understand the rich man is the international bankers, and Lazarus is the Israelites. And the rich man living this sumptuous life is eventually going to suffer torments in the kingdom of heaven, slavery, because they lived a luxurious life and we lived a pauper's life, but that's going to be turned around. All right, so when you get a chance, go back and read the rest of Luke 16. So with that, I pray that your brothers and your few sisters have been edified. This has been You Have Lived Deliciously. So with that, I say shalom.